Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Adriana, and today I want to share about trust and boundaries, soul agreements, and energy exchange. Because I had this conversation with a friend of mine that I haven't seen in years, and we crossed paths again. We had a deep conversation about life, and I just thought that this conversation would benefit more people if it was public somewhere. So that's why I'm making this video today. So we were talking about trust and boundaries and how much is too much. And we were sharing experiences and things, and she told me how much can I give to someone who is constantly misunderstanding me. She was a bit skeptical and sad about things that happened with people in her life. She was giving too much love and attention to specific people, and this might relate to you as well. I mean, I know a few of you that had issues with colleagues at work, even relationships like twin flame relationships. We came here to learn about love and to be more loving and learn things, but it always comes with a cost, because when we're engaging with people in general, it's like we're creating an energetic agreement with them, but somehow we end up having new traumas from those relationships and people, where we wouldn't even expect to have traumas from specific people and relationships in our lives, because we all have misconceptions about relationships and friendships and partnerships or whatever it is. We all have our own belief systems around these things, but there are some basic fundamentals when it comes to that. I came to realize throughout the years that it's only you and yourself. You have other people to assist in whatever you need if it's the right timing for you, but usually you're alone in the situations that you go through. Maybe you have specific agreements with people to show up at specific times in your life to assist in specific lessons and transmutations and healing through soul agreements. Many of us go through experiences and we want to relate. We want to feel that we're not alone, and we do anything in our power to maintain friendships and connections to a point where we give too much, and there is a point where it becomes toxic. We want to make things work. She couldn't feel the other person. She was ignoring red flags. She was being there for the other person, and somehow that wasn't enough anymore, and it became toxic. She couldn't understand why she was in that situation, because it was a soul friendship, a soul agreement, and everything was working out. Suddenly something happened and it wasn't working. And we were talking about this, and throughout these years that I'm doing this work and through my previous experiences, I came to a realization that as hard as it may be, trust no one, expect nothing. Because in the end, you are just you and yourself, and behind closed doors there's really nobody that can feel your pain and really resonate with you, and the only person that is there for you is yourself. As much as we want to feel that we're not alone in this life, we come alone and we leave alone. We come to learn lessons and not repeat them. How much is too much? You give your life to people, you give your soul to people, and then you feel empty. I believe we're here to create boundaries, and sometimes we learn that through very difficult situations and experiences. And what do I mean by boundaries? I mean, have experiences, connect with people, go all out, but never too much. Never sell your soul to people, to friendships, to relationships, to constructs, to concepts, to belief systems, because then there is an imbalance of things. And in this universe, everything has a cause and effect. Everything is related to purpose. So if you buy into specific things, you create energetic bonds, energetic agreements with people or beings that provide a service. When you are in a specific situation and you're seeking for assistance, for help, you are buying a service. If you need a specific outcome, you find that person who you resonate with and you buy a service from them. Physically, you feel like you need to connect with that person, the healer, and to have a support group, stability. And energetically, you create this agreement. I'm helping you in this way, you're helping me in that way. It's not wrong to have these types of relationships and agreements with people or healers or whoever you choose to have interactions with, but behind the scenes, you just need to know there's always a higher connection going on and an energy exchange. So you feel like that person helped you a lot. You're ignoring red flags because you say, no, that person is a healer. That person seems to have everything figured out. I'm processing more things. I'm not in the level that that person is. Or in relationships, you ignore red flags, you ignore narcissistic behaviors, you ignore the negative things because you're a good person. You are learning. You want to focus on the positive things. Then comes a time where you feel lost and you don't know how to deal with these situations. And again, my suggestion is trust nobody. Create boundaries. How much are you going to endure from people you love just because you love them? You know, sometimes they have to go through their own experiences to exit the blaming. When it comes to relationships, we usually see this non-balanced way of blaming, narcissistic behaviors, narcissistic traits, and it doesn't work anymore. Someone has to do something about it, because usually we don't want to end relationships. We want to cling on to them and make them work. And if both people don't want to work on their stuff and they blame each other for things, usually has to end in a really bad way that creates trauma. Here we come with new things to learn how to work with trauma from people who helped us heal trauma. And that is one of the hardest things you're processing, but that's how it works. That's how we heal, how we grow and learn from experiences. There is always a lesson to come through all of our experiences, all of our friendships, our relationships, our partnerships, our jobs. There's always a lesson unfolding when you see a red flag and you feel a specific way, because it's reflecting to you something that is unhealed, and maybe that has nothing to do with you, but maybe that has to do with that other person. But if that person is you in the wider spectrum, we're all in this together. So what do we do in the situations where we're faced with a trauma? We see that we are all going through this together. So what do we do when we are faced with a traumatic experience that seems very hard to overcome? We zoom out and we see the theme. When we zoom out, we disconnect from the victim mentality of, why is this happening to me again? What is going on? Why am I in this situation? What happened? What did I do wrong? Is it me? Is it the other person? You just stop overthinking about it and you zoom out and see it's a concept. You're not the only one who's experiencing this. There's other people who are experiencing this at the same time with you, and we're all healing this in a collective way, because we're all adding into that unified field of consciousness. We're all one, so we're all processing the same thing at the same time, and we provide are personalized solutions to these things, and they're there on the grid to be seen, not only by us but by other beings, as lessons to avoid and how to deal with things, and how to not repeat the same traumas and the same experiences that caused this in the first place. And as hard as it may seem, that's how it works. I know it sucks at times and it's hard to digest but I guess we can do this because we are those warriors in flesh, and we are always finding ways to overcome things, and we always grow from those experiences through adversity, through contrast, and through all this density. Whatever it is, it's the same thing repeating in different ways until we close the holes and the traumas and the loops, and then we shed that old skin and grow a new one, grow our wings. So how do we heal? We get back to basics. You learn how to play with that lens of, I have everything, I have that connection, I have that job, I have that friendship, I have that relationship, and now I don't have that. And you need to learn how to readjust that lens to make it work for you. So we get back to basics. But every time you get back to basics, you learn how to not self-sabotage, not to self-harm, not to harm the self. You learn more about who you are and how to treat yourself better. I've had clients and friends who had issues with drugs, with alcohol, with all sorts of addictions, and that was a way to avoid pain and not being in touch with their emotions. But as I shared in that old video that somehow went viral about the inner teenager, how to heal the inner teenager and the inner child, we go back to basics. We go back to working with our belief systems, working with that shadow self, that inner child, and we learn what is ours and what isn't ours. And sometimes this doesn't always resonate. There are other ways that need to be dealt with first until you get to that root, that heart, because there are many layers to healing. There's not just one way of healing. There are times where there is rage and there is grief and deep sadness that we have to process and move through the body first until we get to that inner child and let it speak and let it share the experience, and then we build that trust again with that inner child. We shared how important it is to find a way that works for you to move that energy and to process whatever you're processing. If it's rage, it's connected to sadness. If it's sadness, it's connected to rage. So move that energy, move that built up energy and direct it somewhere in a positive way. That's why I'm sharing through my experience of how I dealt with situations in the past and how much it helped me to begin exercising and lifting weights and running and doing explosive things, because it helps you process your emotions faster and it provides momentum for you. When nothing else works, you find that inner strength, you provide that momentum from within yourself, and you feel like you can go through anything. Because one thing you learn with exercise is that you're stronger than your mind. So your body is reminding you, I am strong, I can move, I can lift. And you feel your heart pumping blood and filtering new blood through your organs, and then you're regenerating, you're shedding the old and you're building the new. And it's the same mechanism with everything in life, because everything is a fractal and everything is connected through geometry. So when you begin with that type of geometry, with that type of energy, it's like you copy and paste it through other situations in your life that work in the same way. And so it's like you're copying and pasting that mechanism, that blueprint to other areas in your life that work in the same way. You get back to basics, find ways to move, to process the emotions that build up energy, and get to the root of your heart, of that inner child, and let it speak. Sometimes you need to do nothing. You just need to listen that child, because it went through so many things and it's still there. It needs your love. So we get back to basics, to self-love, to removing the expectations that we have from others, removing anything external. And sometimes it's hard to accept, but we are alone. We are alone, but we're not alone. It's like we are alone in a world with other people who are also alone. And I mean, you would say, okay, I'm alone, but I don't want to be alone. I want to connect with other people. I mean, yes, you connect with other people. But sometimes we're so desperate to connect with other people and to share and to be love and to give and to feel love that we give too much. There comes a time where you don't feel like you receive the same, and you feel like something isn't there anymore. You don't know if you did something wrong. You don't know why you don't feel the same, or why that other person doesn't feel the same, because there's always ego in people. And as much as we want to give from our heart and from our soul and receive and have the same, you would say, like, I also believe that, like, I would also want to believe that we are entering a phase now where there's unity consciousness, and we're all going to work together and provide the same energy to each other and be together and share that. But until we get there, we have to accept boundaries and to learn how to create boundaries. We want to be in that unity consciousness, but until we heal the ego, we can't really provide from our hearts. There is always this imbalance that needs to be integrated. And sometimes you do nothing wrong for wanting to have that connection and wanting to provide and care for that person or people or groups of people. But sometimes you have to hold space for them to see that. Just like they may hold space for you to see that from within yourself. So ego always creates trouble and creates things because it's our way to learn things. It provides us with lessons. So when we have specific agreements with people, bosses, twin flames, soulmates, or whatever you want to call it, or whatever it is for you, we always have energetic agreements as well as physical to provide us with a lesson. It's all about removing expectation. No matter how much we love people, we should learn to create boundaries. How much are you going to accept from a person who is abusive, who is toxic, who has narcissistic traits, whatever it is? You know, there is so many concepts that we all experience at one point or another in our lives. And how much are you going to accept just because you see the potential of that person? How much until you say enough? There's always different expressions and different versions and aspects that come through that are not always balanced or integrated from within that person. So as much as we love and want to help and want to give, if that aspect isn't ready to receive or is causing distortions and imbalances and the red flags, there is a dynamic that no longer helps. And it's up to you to decide how much you're going to accept when that happens, the dynamic no longer provides the amount of energy and the amount of lessons that you need, so it's feeding off you. It's just taking, and by creating that emotion and triggers a response from you, and triggers overthinking, drama. It triggers things from within you or from within the other person, and it's not in balance. So in some way, shape or form, there are things that happen so that this energy is balanced, both from within yourself and from within that other person. Because if it has to do with soul agreements, it's usually because both people have that attribute from within themselves, and you work together with that person energetically to heal specific things that and concepts that repeat through time. Maybe they're connected to previous lifetimes, or in this incarnation, in this one. It doesn't matter whether it's past, present, or future. The important thing to know is that the way to heal trauma is to get back to basics, is to remove everything and start again. And it may seem repetitive because things repeat with different people and situations, where to a point where many of us feel frustrated for things repeating again and again. But at least you know how to do things. This is how you learn how to enter back to your body, enter back to yourself, and have that self as your guide. But the important thing to remember is that self might feel that needs to self-harm, self-destruct, and it feels victimized from all the times that he or she had to go through the same experience, through the same trauma, through the same betrayal from many different people. And every time that inner child wants to connect and wants to love and wants to share, it gets attacked, and it feels lonely, and it feels in pain. So what you have to do, again, is to remove the expectations that you have from other people, to be a friend to your inner child, to give that trust that you give to others back to yourself. And it may seem selfish, but that's the only way to heal, to become aware of self, to become aware of your boundaries, and to get stronger, and to say, you know, as much as I love you, I love me more. You reflect the relationship you have with yourself to others. And if that is not in balance, and if that person is not treating you the way you treat yourself, then it's time to go. If that person is not respecting your boundaries and your love and all the things you deserve, as much as you love that person, that partner, that boss, that colleague, that whoever it is, if you don't receive what you give out, it's time to end things. And sometimes we're not ready to end things, and then the universe or our guides come and say, you know what, enough, you've given enough, and there's nothing that you can provide anymore because you've given enough. That person is not ready to receive. You have to learn how to start again. All that energy you've given out, how to provide that energy to yourself. So this was the conversation that I had with that friend. And I know it seems easy to say, but it's much harder to do and apply. So just be patient with yourself through the phases that you go through, and just take it one step at a time. Go back to basics, go back to even nature, because nature always provides. It only takes when it has to, and it only destroys when there is an imbalance that needs to be balanced in locations and energies. So just as Gaia is transitioning, we are transitioning with her. We're shedding layers, so it's better to be connected with the planet, with our roots. Then when we feel grounded enough to begin working with the inner child and the belief systems, we want to feel love, and we want to have a person to share that love with, and to have people who we can feel like home. But they are also here to work through their own issues and through their own things, and there's nobody perfect in this, and we're in this together. So just hold space for yourself and for them, and just know that as long as we're here, we're learning, and hold on tight. And I know there are difficult times. We've been through difficult times together as a collective, and there is more things coming, but always be prepared. Always know that there is agreements, and learn how to navigate through those agreements. Learn how to reconnect back to yourself. Learn how to start over, reinvent yourself again. It seems endless, and we're doing this over and over and over until it's finite, until it's in its purest form, until we are ready to enter the realm of complete purity and complete divinity. And we're getting there. We're close. Know yourself, know your boundaries, know who you are. It's okay to connect, but always remember, be mindful. Don't trust easily. I'm not saying be closed off and distant from people, but I don't know, use your own intuition when it comes to things. Don't give too much. Connect with nature, but then again, don't get too attached to that. Everything is temporary here. It's okay to want to receive, but maybe accept that we're not there yet collectively or individually to be in that state, but we're getting there. Eventually it will shift and it's all gonna be balanced, but until we get there, just hold on. Work on yourself, your beliefs, your expectations, your needs, your desires. Be more mindful with your manifestations, because we want to manifest things from the highest vision and the highest version. We have this balanced vision in our minds and hearts, but until we get there physically, until we catch up to that vision physically, it takes time, because we're not there yet collectively. And if we're not there yet collectively, it means we're not there yet individually. It's nice to be in the clouds, manifesting and feeling and being an instant manifestation, but sometimes we have to also feel the ground and see what's going on in the ground and work in alignment with the in-between space, which is the tree. We are the tree. Feet on earth, in the ground, head in the sky, in the clouds, and we are integrating the tree. Whether this is the inner tree, the outer tree, the shadow tree, and from the shadow tree we go to the light template. We work with the light template, but there are stages in between that, and this is something that I teach in my homeostasis coaching, because it's quantum. So if you're interested in that, check it out. Check the description and the links on the website. And yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope the conversation that I had with my friend provides something to you, makes you feel more empowered Thank you for being patient with me and for subscribing to the channel and being there until I'm ready to come forth with a new download and a new way of perceiving things. If you do like these types of videos, please let me know by liking and subscribing, or comment below any type of video that you want to see or podcast, and I'll make it happen for you. Really appreciate you, and I'll see you guys in the next video or the next podcast or vlog. If you guys missed any of those, it's summer, I mean, you know, maybe. So thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.